Hello and welcome to Comm Majors. I'm Brian Costello.
I'm Jim DeSanto.
And I'm Spier-Man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
You should
not
be
your
Spider. Spider.
Listen, I feel a lot of pressure now.
What are you doing? Are you? We're in the middle of a show and you're adjusting your
You're going to
microphone.
take it out?
I was just trying to adjust it, and then it got loose. See, it's loose. I'm sorry, everyone. We're having technical difficulties. My microphone
Well, no, there
won't
weren't
stay
technical
erect.
difficulties until you.
Well, no, it was happening before too.
Yeah.
I
don't
just
know what
wanted.
she did.
I want it to be at an angle.
Stop touching it.
Oh my God,
God damn.
this is really.
It's the
I
worst.
swear, I just came from yoga. I have not even.
I hate it when Jim can't keep his microphone up.
Started drinking yet?
Hold that.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I'll just hold it throughout the podcast.
Do you know what we're
Hi,
doing?
everyone.
We're gonna.
Hi, everyone.
We're just gonna.
Hi,
we're gonna.
everyone.
We are gonna restart for the actual podcast recording. Anybody who's watching on Facebook gets all the amazing stuff. Flaccid microphones.
It's perky now. It's good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Oh, we lost Matt Bentley at Neighbors. Yeah, we have some good neighbors. So.
We do have great neighbors. Yep. That's
All
the
right.
reason we bought the house. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so let's restart now.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to Comm Majors. I'm Brian Costello.
I'm
And I'm going to get drunk.
Jim DeSanto. Sorry, I had a mouthful of whiskey.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
Should we try to start the show for the fifth time?
No, that's it. That's it right there.
So
that was
that's
close
that's
enough
our
for
one.
rock and roll.
All right, so here we go. So today we're looking at your friendly neighborhood teen superhero in Spider-Man Homecoming. But first, we ask the most pressing question of every week. What are we drinking this episode? What does everybody have?
I have some scotch, the Balvenie Caribbean Cast, aged 14 years.
Scotch.
It's a very good scotch that is finished in rum barrels.
Can I try it?
Sure, you can
Excellent.
It has legs. It's very.
try it. It has legs.
It does have legs.
High alcohol always has legs or alcohol.
Oh, good Lord. This is...
Ooh. Ooh, she's nice.
You've tried that one like 8 times and you've been like, nah, not for me.
Maybe it's wrong. I tell you, they keep. Yeah, but then see on the back end, no, it lost me. I like the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And I don't like the way it finishes.
Well,
As most
your turn.
things.
So, like,
Here we go.
ahead, Karen.
I'm drinking White Claw seltzers because I just stopped at the beer store.
Because they were out of Four Loko.
Because Four Loko was all out.
I can't tell you the last time I went to the beer store. I'm being honest with
Which
you.
one did you go to?
I went to Havertown Beverage tonight.
Oh, okay.
This is my first time there. And it was lovely, except that the lovely Asian man who looks about my age and clearly is from the United States kept calling me honey, and I just don't take kindly to that. If you're not like of the greatest generation, you don't get to call me honey. Like that. What?
There aren't a penny
are
left
the
from the
same
greatest
age.
generation.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Captain America can call you honey, though.
No, he
Yeah.
cannot. No, he cannot.
He's very old.
That is weird. Like, do women do that? Do you get that as a man? Do you ever get like?
I don't think I've ever
hey,
called
hon.
The
a
only
woman
place
honey.
that's appropriate is in a diner with like an
with an
80-year-old
older waitress?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
And I want pie and coffee.
The ladies at the cafeteria at Scranton got to call us honey and sweetie, and because they were like our moms.
Damn fine cup of coffee.
They
Brian.
were wonderful women.
Damn
but
fine cup of coffee.
no, young Asian men don't get to call me honey. Anyway,
Okay.
I got White Claw because the girls and I, not my children, my college friends were having a girls' weekend at the beach, and I needed beverages. So
Oh, is that this
it's
upcoming
this
weekend?
We're so excited.
Wow. So we will have. I'm making a note of stories for next week's fact
there
check.
will be some. Mhm.
Or fact check. All right. I am drinking some Long Trail Lager from Long Trail Brewing Company. It's their 30th anniversary this year. It's a brewery that is out of Vermont, and it's delicious. Not Maine. I should have had a Maine brewer, but I didn't.
Maine. Listen, Brian, we're going to be vacationing with you in Maine from now on. No more Italy for us because apparently our child is going to need 2 rounds of braces. Not one, but 2. So
Okay,
no
come to Maine.
more planes for us.
This year,
We'll be
this
driving.
summer, I'm planning to go up because they have a great distillery up there. Flying Pig Bread, if you've ever had that, also makes whiskey, and they have a distillery there, and they have a number of breweries right up there as well that I'm going to go to.
Very
That
cool.
sounds
Which
good.
are delicious.
Very cool, Brian.
All right, let's fact check last week's show. First of all, of course, we did Jaws last week, and right after we did the show, the next day, I woke up and one of the lead stories on the local news was the first great white shark of the season had been found right off of Cape Cod. I am going to Cape Cod for vacation. I am going to be doing some Facebook Living from the beach. I'm going to attempt to find the great white shark. I'm going to bring a bottle of apricot brandy with me. And
You need a case.
It's funny. I was re-listening to this episode and I had a fact check on this situation because last week when you said you would have undercut Quint's offer, I was taking that as like you as the sheriff would have been like, no, we're not going to pay you that. But you were saying that you would come in and rival his offer. So let's be serious. You're going hunting for the great white shark? Like that's something that's happening in Brian Costello's world?
No, I was then going to hire somebody at a lower price.
Oh.
I was going to
subcontract
for even less than that.
And
even less. Maybe some candy bars or something.
So you're going to try this next week?
That film was made in the 70s. There was stagflation. Unemployment was through the roof. It was the Carter years.
So there's no way he needed that much money.
No, there's no way they could have gotten that. They would have worked for a lot less than that.
All right.
Though shark attacks in North America are the most common globally. They make up 48% of the total global shark attacks per year in North America.
I don't like that.
Last year, there were 32 unprovoked shark attacks, but that was actually down from 2017, where there was 53.
Now,
so
unprovoked. Who's going in the ocean and provoking the sharks?
I think they probably mean if you like pull one on your boat and
that's
like if you're hunting, if you're
you get
fishing.
what you get.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, just remember the scene from Jaws when those idiots were driving around and throwing stuff into the water. You have seen YouTube. Probably the people who are provoking shark attacks are the same ones having their gender reveal parties.
It could be.
I don't think so. I don't think those people are that brave.
So that's one thing. Top dog names in America. Of course, the DeSantos' new dog will have a lovely name. Little Scout will be joining the family soon. And hope maybe we'll make an appearance on Comm Majors at some point.
Yeah, and just to clarify, the dog's name is not Little Scout. It is just Scout.
It's just Little.
It's a little dog.
I was saying Little Scout, Scout the dog, who will be getting bigger. The top dog names in America, the two top male names are Bailey and Max, and the top two female names are Bella and Lucy.
We knew a great dog named Bailey. He was the last dog we dog sat before our most recent dog sitting of Sadie.
That is true.
Yep. He was a great dog. Okay, good. That's good.
You
Good
guys painted the bedroom.
Yep.
Is that complete now? They painted it a beautiful shade of white.
White.
It's pure white.
Pure white. It is. It is Aryan white. Just completely.
All of the Abbott and Costello jokes that would come of that actually all happened at Sherwin-Williams at the paint store, where I was like, okay, I want pure white, and he just handed me the paint can. I was like, no, pure white, which is a tinted color at Sherwin-Williams. He was like, oh, you want it tinted? It's like, right, the color pure white. And he was like, yeah, well, sometimes people just say that and they just like want the base color. I was like, yeah. So then I would just take it and not tell you that I want pure white. I was like, what if they also have absolutely white and very white. I was like, this. And
I bet you wouldn't be able to tell the difference after about a day.
I have to disagree.
Have you bought any of the flare yet?
Yeah.
Did you buy your flare?
We started the process. We said yes to blue glass and no to yellow clock. Yellow clock is going back.
It was a weird yellow though. It was it was like weathered and there were multiple shades.
I'm going back. They've got a yellow mirror. I'm going to try that.
It wasn't poppy.
And we got a blue Buddha head. I like that.
Yeah.
IKEA has green
You should get like two enormous pictures of like Will Ferrell in the wedding scene of old school like you and Jim and can just put those up. That would be pretty awesome.
Right.
So I was interested in what most people pick for their bedroom color. So I did some research, and sleepjudge.com ran a survey, and the 3 most popular bedroom colors, number 1 was misty, which was kind of a pale color that you could add flair to, which is made by Sherman-Williams.
What
Was number
kind
1.
of pale, Brian? Like a pale blue, a gray?
It was almost grayish. They just
that
said
sounds like a white, a color of
I
white.
know. Well, it was more it was the white gray family.
Misty.
Misty. Number 2 was Peppercorn, which was a darker gray by Sherman-Williams. And number 3 was called Fountain Mist by Valspar, which was like blue.
Is Sherman-Williams, is he the cousin of Sherwin?
It's like the Aldi version.
I don't know.
Sherman.
All right.
Great.
And then finally, our question from last week, we asked 2 really tough, one and done, own it, skip it, Jaws, Alien, Shining.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see what critical ratings were on Rotten Tomatoes. Alien was first at a 99%. Jaws was at 97, and The Shining was at 87.
All right.
So
Which I think that lines up with my choices.
Oh, well, look at you, Mr. Movie Critic.
Wow.
Oh, Jim, you're wearing your glasses.
I am, and neither of you said anything.
I'm saying something right now. Thank you, sir. Are you going to explain what they are?
I didn't know if you were trying to look like
really
Tony Stark.
funny on there.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to do? Look like Tony Stark?
Tell us about them.
They are blue light eliminating glasses for folks that work at computers a lot.
Oh. Do you wear those while you game as well?
I will, yeah.
It's going to make it even sexier.
Yeah.
I love it. Did you get to hear June Diane Raphael's take on gamers yet?
I did not. I listened to Armchair Experts for the 5 minutes my children were not in the car with me today or this week. Which is also good. Good. I will.
Okay. Rundown time. We are doing Spider-Man Homecoming, an absolutely fantastic film.
Oh, well, spoiler alert. Right there.
I already put it on social media.
I did see that.
Who wants to do rundown?
It's your turn.
My turn. Spider-Man Homecoming is the reboot of the Spider-Man for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, not the crappy Sony movies. And it basically follows Peter Parker as I think he said sophomore year?
Yes. He's like 14, 15-year-old. Yeah, so it's sophomore year.
It's his sophomore year of high school. He has already obviously been introduced in the MCU in Civil War and that was the only one he was introduced prior to this.
This would be Civil War, and this one's right before Infinity War.
Right. And so he has a new suit from Tony Stark that he was given for Civil War. He's basically, wanting to take on more missions and be part of the Avengers in the beginning. And Tony's basically telling him to chill. And he then discovers that there's a guy, Toombs, who is scavenging the leftover alien technology and turning it into weapons and selling it. And it's very dangerous, especially in Queens, where a bank gets blown up in a convenience store, and he wants to go out and stop it, and Tony Stark doesn't want him to. So it kind of follows through that and kind of ends around Homecoming, right?
Yeah.
The Homecoming dance. So that's the
Gist of it.
overall rundown. Yeah.
Now, I had seen this film in the theater when it came out, but for you two, this was your first viewing of said film. And what are your thoughts?
I think this might be my favorite of the single character movies. It's right up there with Black Panther for me. Because I think it did something similar to Black Panther in the fact that they had a vision and a singular theme that they wanted to go with that was unique to the character. And it wasn't like, for me, the Thor movies and the Iron Man movies and the Captain America movies, besides the first Captain America movie, which is its kind of own thing, because of the period piece part. I think they all, those movies are clearly all in the same universe and kind of have the same vibe, and their characters are kind of all the same age, and there's not much difference going on in those movies. Like, their powers are different, but in this it really
tonally you're right. Tonally it's very similar,
and this is very much like a coming of age superhero movie, which is pretty cool. And it also, if you haven't seen this prior to seeing Infinity War or Endgame, I think it's pretty important, because I think it's probably the beginning of the main arc of those movies. Obviously Iron Man was the beginning, but there's a pretty strong theme that I don't want to get too much into. I don't want to spoil Endgame or anything going on in this movie. So, what did you think, Katie?
I probably like 65% watched this movie. I was at
which is pretty good. That's pretty good for you.
She's just using a computer.
I would say it was like the low end on my like movie watching attention. Yeah, but but I was gonna say it wasn't due to the quality of the movie. I was just like not in a space where I was focused entirely. I really loved what I saw, but if you quizzed me on the movie, I would not do well. I know that there was an academic competition.
Yes.
I think it was in Washington, D.C. I had to ask today about like character names.
Yeah.
I'm still not really sure why MJ's in the movie, because I think I missed that.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked it. I understood why my students were very upset that I didn't see the movie. They were very upset that I didn't like Spider-Man, because for me, Spider-Man was Tobey Maguire, and didn't like him at all. I think this Spider-Man is much more likable. I
think he's my opinion, at least, he's the best of the Spider-Mans.
Oh,
now,
yeah, by far.
There's three of them. Tobey Maguire, I saw all three. I barely watched Andrew Garfield's ones. I guess the first one was pretty good. I didn't even watch the second one. This one actually feels like a legit high school student.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was, I actually found myself at times enjoying the high school stuff more than the Spider-Man stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the Spider-Man stuff was well done. The Spider-Man stuff I thought was well done. There was no issue with the Spider-Man stuff. I just really liked how they established the characters and the high school setups. Now, we've done, I think, 4 high school films now. We've done Can't Hardly Wait, Varsity Blues,
Mean Girls,
in this one. And I think this ranks up as a high school film very comparatively in my mind, along with kind of a Can't Hardly Wait.
Oh, and
in terms
you're
of
forgetting the other high school film we did.
Which one?
If Looks Could Kill.
Oh, If Looks Could Kill. Interesting you bring up If Looks Could Kill. I'll bring that up later with the second Spider-Man movie. Actually, you know what? Forget, I won't bring it up later. I'll bring it up now. The second Spider-Man movie, I was reading an article in Empire Magazine on it.
Yeah.
And John Watts, for this film, the one we just watched, Homecoming, obviously had a very heavy John Hughes vibe to it. And he watched 16 Candles. He watched Breakfast Club. He watched Ferris Bueller. And there's that great Ferris Bueller tracking sequence in the film he did. For the second movie, Empire Magazine was on set as they were filming it. And they were watching sequences from If Looks Could Kill, because they were using it as its template for could kill.
There you go. You got it.
For their template of that film.
Yeah. That's so exciting. If Richard Grieco appears in the next Spider-Man movie.
It would be so good. I thought it was amazing that Donald Glover was in Homecoming.
Yeah, there were so many great little cameos.
You know, I don't know if everyone got that joke, but prior to Tom Holland being cast, this might have actually gone back to prior to Andrew Garfield being cast.
It might have been, because he was the voice of Miles Morales, who's become very big now as part of the Into the Spider-Verse. Right. Which, I mean, if we need to talk about comics, listen to Pop Addled. Keenan can rattle on about comics.
But there was a big internet like uproar when someone suggested that he be cast as the next Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he jokingly like said
lobbied,
like, "Oh,
right?
this would be awesome." No, he just basically said this would be awesome or something like that, and basically the internet broke because you had a bunch of racist people saying, "Die, you can't be Spider-Man because you're black," and then a bunch of other people just saying, "Yeah, it'd be awesome." He at
but
the
there is
time
a
had
black
the
Spider-Man.
right at the
And
time he had the
then
personality of
Donald
Peter
Trump
Parker.
was elected president.
Yeah.
Coincidence? I
No.
think not.
But yeah, he and at the time Donald Glover was Troy on Community, which
Yes.
he had a very, not a very. It was easy to see
It
that he
was a
could play a high
niche
school
following.
character.
It was a very it was a very niche following. I think he as Miles Morales would have been awesome if they went that route. I think they did go the right route, picking Peter Parker. I think he's the mainstream one if you follow Spider-Man.
Yeah.
This movie could have been a potential train wreck. In terms of the development of it. This is a co-produced film, so this is not a Disney-owned product. They allowed Kevin Feige and the Marvel people to help Sony and Columbia make this movie.
Yeah.
So that Spider-Man could be in the MCU, Endgame, and Infinity. So this only furthers my belief that this Kevin Feige guy, who Katie might not know the name, but a lot of people won't, unless you really like Marvel movies. He is the guy who's in charge of all the Marvel movies, and the man's is going to be somebody in 100 years people are studying as like a cinematic genius because he gets it right. Like all the casting he does is always spot on, and the directors, John Watts, he picked for this, who nobody knows. I don't know John Watts prior to this. He picks these directors, and like, Jim, you were spot on. The tone of this movie was different and perfect. They played it like perfectly. Like the action was good, but I felt like they spent so much time developing the character and like the world that he lived in. And it was almost like, yeah, we know we can do the CGI stuff and it will look good because it's Spider-Man. But we need to make sure that people like this kind of mildly nerdy. He's not cool, but he's believable as being a nerd, but also somebody who's a superhero. And it's spot on.
This tone, has started to creep up. It was big there were a lot of movies with this kind of tone, and obviously in the 80s. And now there's like retro TV shows of like Stranger Things where you have kind of the nerds and the geeks kind of, showing their culture and things like that. And I think that they did a really good job with that in this. And one thing I laughed at with Katie is like, even in a school that's completely filled with all nerds, because they're all science geeks at what was it, like Midtown Scientific School or
Tech.
something.
And there is a school like that.
Yeah. There's still like the social hierarchy going on.
Of course. And they did that very nuanced, but I like how you picked that up. Like there was the class differences between rich and poor and all the like, I want to say tropes of a high school movie, but they layer it very well. Like It Can't Hardly Wait. They don't, it's not so stereotypical in terms of, mainly I think because of how diverse the cast is.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't play people to type, in terms of who the people are, which I thought the MJ choice in particular was really interesting, that they didn't pick obviously a white
girl with red hair.
And they didn't even play that out that was MJ until the very end of the movie.
Scene. Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
Another thing that I've always loved about Spider-Man, and I brought this up to Katie, is that he's like quintessentially the New York superhero for me.
Mets fan.
Yeah.
The only good thing the Mets got going for him is Spider-Man.
He's from Queens, and he always did. I mean, there's that. I don't even know where this comes from. I guess it comes from the comic, but the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is.
Yeah, I think that
is like they do a good job of making him part of the neighborhood and kind of, I don't know. I feel like that's like a throwback to other movies that talk about like Queens and New York and not just focusing on Manhattan and I don't know. I've always liked that about Spider-Man.
The only person that is more popular than Peter Parker from Queens is Tom Gibbons. Agree or disagree? Discuss.
Bill Buckner.
Discuss.
I mean, Tom Gibbons has been recognized at St. Patrick's Cathedral. I don't think Spider-Man can ever.
He's not from Queens, but Bill Buckner's more popular.
I would like to
probably.
agree with Brian, and I feel like this is a theme through many of our movie reviews that the movies that focus too much on gimmick, on effect, they lose the focus of creating a good story and developing good characters. And I agree that I never felt distracted by the effects in this movie. Everything felt like, the effects were there, but they were just a piece of the character, and it never distracted from the development of the character and, his relationship and the plot of the movie. So great job on that. And then I want to talk about Michael Keaton, please.
Oh my God. They did such a great job with the adult casting in this movie, which I always thought John Hughes did as well.
Yes.
Like the adults in John Hughes movies who just get sprinkled in, they're not the focal point of it, but he always casted actors that were able to deliver. And Michael Keaton, I think, never gets the credit he deserves for as good as he is. I mean, he's damn
Well, I was
good.
saying to Jim, is this his first turn as not even just a villain, but kind of like a bad guy? Like I was thinking about, so Birdman is kind of a jerk.
No, dude. You remember what movie? We brought this up a couple weeks ago when we did Vertigo. We were doing the fact check of Vertigo.
What is that movie
He's
called?
in Pacific Heights.
Oh, I never saw that.
Which he is terrifying. And I actually remember seeing that. The sequence I think of him where you get the glimpse of that character is what I think is really a segment I would rank up as an amazing piece of filmmaking, which is when he and Tom Holland are playing that cat and mouse game on the ride to Homecoming.
Oh yeah.
Like where he's like, you see, that is, I would put that little set piece there it's like, that's like top-notch thriller stuff. That's like Hitchcockian right there, where they go back and forth with that. He is so good in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think he might be my favorite Marvel villain. And having seen all the 22 films, everybody will obviously say Thanos or they love Loki. He, I think, delivers the
Killmonger,
best.
The only one that's even
Killmonger
close
is good.
Is Michael
those
B. Jordan.
two, I think those two are like delivering performances that you could argue might be two of the best acting performances of all the movies.
Oh yeah.
Add in heroes, everything. They are amazing in this movie, what they do.
But even so, like, he's obviously, what did you want to say about him? Because you brought him up.
I just thought it was such a refreshing, like a twist on who you expect Michael Keaton to be, right? Like you're so used to seeing him as the nice guy, as the Mr. Mom, like that, that character was very much like in the wheelhouse of who Michael Keaton was, right?
I wish there was
Batman.
But I was
He
going
was
to
the
say,
original Batman.
right? Like even as Batman, like I don't know, he was still there's still like a softness to Michael Keaton.
There's like
this was great.
Yeah, the only thing I wish that this movie I think is missing is like a little piece in that 8-year gap. Because I think they jump really quickly from him being kind of like a blue collar, leader of a like demolition crew to gun selling criminal mastermind.
That's that.
No, like I bought it. I think if this movie was like 15 minutes longer, I could, and it's still a long movie as it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours. I feel like they always underservice the villain. Wouldn't you tend to agree, though?
Yeah.
You're just supposed to kind of buy into a villain being a villain.
Well, that's interesting because we talked about this with the Joker, right? With the origin story, like the fact that you get that at all.
Yeah.
Right? That you see
is a problem.
No.
With the Joker, like you don't.
Oh.
I like that you never got that.
Yeah. Right. So I'm saying, like, I think it's interesting that you get a little bit of the Vulture's story, and I to me it's enough, right? It's enough to have a little bit of like, how'd he get here?
Now that I'm thinking about it, this is partly why they don't, is that you ruin the reveal of him
being the father. Yeah.
So like that's the part that's tough, is because like you want, but that's, you could have I guess not. I don't know. It just to me, that was the only part of this movie that was like a little thin. The acting and obviously everything else was great, but like his motivation to like go from I can't get any contracts to I'm gonna sell harmful guns to,
yeah, I guess
it just
maybe it's that the villains tend to be so weak in these films that even just his performance was enough for me not to even, because usually you get nothing with these villains. A lot of these villains are so bland, and not by the way, Marvel does a slightly better job than a lot of other franchises, aka the Dark Phoenix, where albino Jessica Chastain was supposed to be the villain, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm still not quite sure about that. Also, Jon Favreau.
Yep,
fantastic is Happy Hogan in this.
Yeah. And the other three recognizable adults. Marissa Tomei is Aunt May is amazing.
Love her.
Amazing.
Like, what's the last thing she was in? I feel like she was in a movie, like a Oscar-winning movie a few years ago.
Well, she won an Oscar.
Yeah, what was it?
My Cousin Vinny.
No.
No, maybe she didn't win her second.
There was some. She was in a big movie
with
Mickey.
Mickey
in The
Rourke.
Wrestler.
Yeah.
I feel like she's been in something since The Wrestler.
Oh, she's in a lot now.
I mean, like
that was kind of
like
her
a major movie.
But
I
she
liked
has
this turn of her as like the maternal figure, the younger Aunt May.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I liked their relationship.
That's a great setup.
She won
in
the
Civil
Oscar for My Cousin Vinny.
She did. We were talking.
I know.
That was like 1991.
I was saying
we were talking
recent.
about modern.
I know.
Lord.
Robert Downey Jr. as well.
Robert Downey Jr.
Awesome as always.
And then on the teacher side, you have Hannibal Buress and Martin Starr, who are both awesome.
Yeah, the teacher representation in this film, I've talked about my distaste of a lot of films and how they represent teachers.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty good in this one. The gym teacher is just a guy who's like beaten down or whatever, with some hysterical Captain American cameos. They did a great job of setting this film in the MCU universe, but not making it be something that you had to have. And the Captain American cameos were perfect.
Your body is changing.
Your body is changing, and I know that. So you're in detention. What do you? But also, I loved Martin Starr.
Yeah.
It's just this guy like on taking kids on field trips. Because let me tell you something, as a teacher, if you're a parent and you listen to this and you're not a teacher, teachers, I don't want to speak for Katie, maybe. I hate field trips. They are not fun for teachers. They are terrifying, especially in our modern legal world. The idea of taking high school students overnight places is really a recipe for disaster, which is why I no longer do it. I actually led 2 European trips, which were 30 days each. And I'm not quite sure what I was thinking at the time.
No, I was very impressed with you, though.
Because that is all bad. Nothing good can come of that.
Nope.
I'm the history teacher.
We were just having this conversation with my niece, who is pondering doing like one of the educational tour groups, right? She knows somebody that works for them. I was like, I guess I do have a number of like what you would have to pay me, but like a free trip anywhere in the world is not enough. I know that is not enough.
In my 20s, I received 2, I guess the equivalent is 2 free month-long trips to Europe. Yeah. Now, enough that I went back a second time.
Yeah.
I think I was just dumb.
Yeah.
because now thinking back at it, it's a terrifying thing to take
Totally.
40.
Here's the thing: you're a parent now, right? So I feel like we've come around to like I think when we're in our early 20s, we're very much in the like everything will be fine place, and now we've seen too much. We've seen too much now.
And listen, we're very responsible. It was very safe. These tour companies do a great job, but there are a lot of variables when you're bringing 40 adolescents.
They're teenagers.
That's a whole other
I don't want to
story.
be responsible
There
for
could
teenagers
be a man
in their own houses,
melting down all the gold of Europe and turning it into his own currency.
It's a very good point.
And
I will save some of my stories for when we do Euro trip.
I like that.
Which
That's
will
good.
happen at some
Yeah,
point.
we could talk about this a long time.
Let's talk about Ned, lovable sidekick buddy.
Guy in the chair.
Ned. He is awesome
He's fun.
in this movie.
I like his cowboy
Lots
hat.
of fun.
The cowboy hat is not cool. It's really like an indie hat.
It is kind of.
Yeah, I think that was a
vibe.
tip of the cap to indie.
The tip of the hat.
You see what I did there?
Tip of the hat.
Yeah.
I like
there were a
that.
lot of references here, and I'll get into one of them when we get into our casting that I particularly liked. Brian already brought up the Ferris Bueller one where he's running through, and you actually see them watching Ferris Bueller.
Ferris
on the TV.
Bueller, which was great, and that I actually watched
Is it the
clip
naked
of the
guys
Ferris
that are
Bueller one.
watching it? There's just a lot of like middle-aged naked men walking around.
What are they talking about?
Did you try to watch this film on Pornhub? What version were you watching?
Ferris Bueller?
There was no naked people walking around.
There were children running around in the back.
There were like
when were there naked men in this film?
middle-aged men in. I guess they were wearing bathing suits, but it was like inside a space, and they were walking around maybe in towels. There was a suggestion of nudity. No,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm gonna have to watch that scene again. Apparently,
Holy
I don't think that scene exists in any movie that I've seen.
You made me rewatch it. You said you need to actually watch this, and you rewound it.
That
and
was just them running through backyards
at night.
Yeah,
kids in tents.
No, they were not kids. It was not the. I know what you're talking about. The kids in the tents. It was not the kids in the tent. It was adults in some sort of like a pool house scenario, but they were large humans. They were not kids.
Let's someone think of another thing to talk about.
Oh my God! Moving on. I'm at a loss here. Let me recollect for a second. Let's talk about the use of Spider-Man, the character. And what I love is that every other Spider-Man movie, by and large, has kept him confined to New York. So the geography of Spider-Man swinging is always through Manhattan. The brilliant idea to take it to DC and have him,
or the suburbs where.
Oh, both. Or to naked men in the YMCA bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's what I was thinking.
It was so funny.
That will be in Far From Home. That will be in the sequel.
I did like him trying to figure out like how to keep his stuff safe. Like the post-it note on the
his bags always being stolen too.
Yeah.
It's fun. That was fun.
But I loved the visual of the Washington Monument.
That was great scene.
Great choice of doing that and taking it out. And I love the idea of the sequel, which for everybody listening to this in the pod version, we'll probably be putting this out like the day before the next one comes out in the theater, of taking it to Europe. And they're setting it in Venice, which is my favorite city I've ever been to, and Prague and all these.
Brian. That's surprising to me. A lot of water, a lot of boots.
Well, you don't actually go in the water, though. I don't mind looking at water. And there's no sand, really. It's concrete.
That's true.
No sharks, either.
I have to say, the two of you are convincing me that I need to watch this movie.
Yeah.
The one we just watched the other night?
Yeah, the one that we watched for the purposes of
I think
the show.
You've sold me on it.
Yeah.
I think I need to watch it.
I am curious in the film that you did watch, because it sounds like a whole different take on Spider-Man.
We watched the same movie, Brian. She was just distracted.
What was she watching on that computer?
Yeah, maybe the men were on the computer?
I don't know. So
her movie was Spider Boy, a young man's rise in Turkish bathhouses to be a man.
Yes.
So another Yeah, Tony Stark. Let's talk about him.
Okay, quick. And then I think we got to wrap this because even though you're selling me on it, I feel like we're running long talking Spider-Man.
Really?
I do.
Okay.
I do think so.
We're
I think
much shorter than usual
Really?
now,
Yeah.
actually.
it's time.
You'd have more to
Funny.
talk about if
Yeah,
you
If
had
I had
watched
watched
the
the
film.
movie.
And
If you had watched the movie,
This
you would
is
have
true.
something to talk
you
about.
need to invest the time in the podcast, Katie.
Okay. I'm all in. I'm here.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. is like, I don't think they'll ever be able to reboot that character in
I
a
don't
way.
think they should.
No, I don't think so. He's great in this. And like I said, if you have seen Infinity War and Endgame and you haven't seen this, come back and watch this because I think it plays a really important role in his character development.
Well, yeah, how much more invested are you in what they did in those? Because you had seen both of those films. Seeing this, do you think that stuff that happens in that movie plays better for you now?
I think it played great without seeing this and even better with seeing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I will say for people who are listening to this, apparently if you're into Spider-Man, you need to see the new movie as quickly as possible because apparently there's a lot of stuff that is very important that if you know ahead of time will spoil it for you, like a ton apparently, that deals with what happened in this movie and Robert Downey Jr. and all this other stuff. And people are saying the next one is better than this one. So probably because it was based on If Looks Could Kill.
Yes. All right.
So Katie, maybe you should go see this movie.
So yeah,
I think I would really like to see this movie.
Of the 10% that you watched, what part was your favorite?
Ooh.
Other than the men in towels, men in towels.
I loved Peter and May getting ready for homecoming.
That was a good scene,
right?
Yeah,
like
that
him,
was
learning how to tie his tie, learning how to dance was so cute. I love him just even calling her, being like, "I need your help."
Yeah,
yeah. I thought that was a great scene.
Perfect. Okay, so see Spider-Man: Homecoming. If you're Katie, watch it the first time.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it.
Watch that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we got to run it again. We should have just bought it.
I know we should have bought the movie. I'll get it at the library.
I got my copy from the library, and I will. Our next episode, I will give you an instant reaction on Spider-Man: Far From Home because I will have seen it by that point.
Good job.
All right, spanning globe pop culture time now. Instant reaction. This week, actually today, there was a new trailer dropped for a reboot of a franchise I wasn't aware that needed to be rebooted.
So many franchises don't need to be rebooted, but
that is Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
They're back.
I'm squarely in the middle on this.
I'm very interested in this franchise just in the sense that I feel like it was a television program that wasn't maybe necessarily even beloved and has now received two major film franchises in the last 20 years, which is interesting to me. What is everybody's thoughts on what they saw?
It looks bad. It looks like it doesn't look interesting at all. So for me, that's bad. It looks like a movie that was shot sometime after Ghost Protocol, and they're like just going to take a lot of similar ideas and things from other spy movies, and we're going to make it look cool. And I don't know. I'm just not interested at all. I'm
holding out some hope. I felt like the trailer... Like I could kind of like visualize how this could go either way. Like that the scenes in between could either make or break this movie.
But they
like,
also
I do hold on some hope for it.
And like I'm pretty plugged into like pop culture and older stuff. The trailer is playing to an audience I think that doesn't exist. Like I don't think people are going to realize that Bosley is not like.
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah. Okay. So Bosley in this film is Elizabeth Banks,
a woman.
It's a woman. It was always a man. It was Bill Murray originally, and then they had a gag in the rest of that franchise where it turned out to be Bernie Mac, who was somehow Bill Murray's son. Yeah. Which whatever. She also directs this film and wrote it. And I do appreciate they picked a female director. Love that. Elizabeth Banks, who I think did a great job with the
Scrubs.
Oh, Scrubs. And
did she really do Scrubs?
Well, she was JD's.
Yeah, but she was. But she was also
but I mean, writing, directing, totally different.
Yeah, no, but she did the. Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank on this? She was amazing. The girl singing group movies, which are really
Pitch
fun.
Perfect.
Pitch Perfect, which are fun. Like I like that choice. Yeah. They are good. They're fun, good movies. She does a great job with it. They legit stole, and I can't remember off the top of my head right now, a line from the original Mission Impossible in that trailer. And you're right. I thought the Ghost it does. The way they shot it, the cuts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not adverse to this film. It's not like a visceral vomiting reaction like I had with the Dark Phoenix trailer. I'm like, maybe this could be okay. One of the actresses in it, Naomi Scott, who's very new, was Jasmine in the new Aladdin movie. And I thought she was the hands down best part of that movie. And she plays kind of the scientist who's creating whatever they're after. And she looks good in this. I think she's going to be somebody in like 5 years that's in like tons of stuff. But I don't think it's
in a world where John Wick continues to make sequels. I think we have to at least give this movie a fair shot.
That's how I feel about this movie.
But
although with Elizabeth Banks, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was she wrote it and directed it. I am more interested in it now.
I think it could
be okay. I was like, oh my God, they're making this. And then I watched it and I said, okay, it's a little Mission Impossible-y, which I'm down with. Like, that's okay. I'd be all right with that. It looks a little bit more legit than the Cameron Diaz ones, which I thought were really corny. And there's some pretty good actresses. So we'll see. I want to see what the second trailer is.
All right.
And then we'll see where it is. But I'm all for, by the way, a female-driven spy franchise where, so I think there's room for that. That could be good. All right. This week's game is Recast It. Now, remember, we usually play Recast It. We take old films that we love and cast it with new actors. Most recently, we played Recast It with Alien. All right. And a lot of people like that game. We're doing the reverse. We're taking a modern movie, Spider-Man Homecoming, and we're recasting it with Brat Pack, John Hughes, 80 to like 1986 era actors to plug into roles that we enjoyed in this film. So who would like to go first with some of the recasting? Jim, hand up. Go for it.
I would also like to recast this with the Frat Pack as well at some point.
Who is the Frat Pack?
The Frat Pack is like the old school crowd, like Vince Vaughn, John Favreau, and
feel free to throw
Will
that
Ferrell.
right in.
Yeah,
yes,
the Wilson brothers, Ben Stiller.
Yes. All right, so go for it. Who do you have? From this time period?
The first one, when I was looking at the list of Brat Pack folks, immediately I saw Rob Lowe, and I'm like, he's Flash, 100%. Rob Lowe is Flash because he plays that just jerk perfectly, I think. Peter, I looked at the list long, and I thought that Andrew McCarthy is probably the best.
Ooh, good choice. Yeah,
best Peter Parker.
One. Yep, good one.
And the next one for MJ, I picked Ali Sheedy, and specifically because the idea of her being at detention without having to be there is
like Breakfast
is
Club.
The exact character from the Breakfast Club,
which is where that was stolen.
Right,
yeah,
it was stolen from there.
And even the look and mannerisms, I thought she was playing was Ali Sheedy from Breakfast Club.
This MJ is like this weird kind of I have no friends, kind of edgy person.
Very smart. Yeah, I love that. That's...
and then to play opposite of her because of that, Liz, I would be Molly Ringwald.
Okay.
And then I had to do Ned because it's important, and that has to be Anthony Michael Hall.
All right. So we usually do three characters, but Jim has cast an entire film for us.
We've done this, I don't know how many times, but Yeah.
We've done this. All right, Katie, who did
Okay.
you cast?
So I went since we're rolling it back to a whiter, more male time. I just went all men in the cast. So Peter is Matthew Broderick, and playing the role of MJ is Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I don't remember.
Oh,
what
wait,
his
hold on.
actual name is.
MJ is a girl.
No, I know. So
you're casting a boy to play MJ?
because I figured if we're going all white men, then we may as well throw in a little twist, like just you
Okay,
know.
so it's like a
let's just pretend
Turkish
that
Turkish
you didn't know who
bathhouse,
MJ
Spider-Man.
was.
Yeah.
All right.
Shush.
Go.
Shush. No, I knew that MJ turns into his love interest, but then he has a crush on Liz, and so I was like, so who is MJ? Like actually in the movie, she's really just like a minor character in this movie. She's not really like,
But Cameron's the best friend, so why didn't you cast him as Ned?
because I want Peter Parker to have a crush on him, like
Okay.
Matthew
you wanted to
Broderick
be-
does in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
He doesn't have a crush on Cameron.
Crush on
He
Cameron?
does. Let's be serious, people.
Oh my god.
I mean, the man rocks a cardigan like nobody else. Playing the role of
Fucking
Vulture,
hockey jersey.
he wears a cardigan.
He's wearing a
Ferris
he's wearing
wears a
Blackhawks.
cardigan.
Ferris
Oh,
is
Ferris.
Matthew
Cardigan.
Broderick.
Yes, Ferris
Yeah,
is.
I know.
Do we
He
need to
has a
watch
crush
Ferris
on
Bueller on this
Cameron.
show? What?
You're confusing me. I thought the reason he had a crush was because Cameron was wearing the cardigan. That's what.
No. Matthew Broderick wears the
Oh,
cardigan.
yeah.
Okay.
Pull
Playing
over.
the role of the Vulture is John Candy.
John Candy.
Just picture it. It works.
Oh,
John Candy.
And then in the role of Ned, Dan Aykroyd.
ugh.
Dan Aykroyd was a
A
40-year-old
young-
man.
We have talked
I just
about
almost by myself. It literally almost beat me up.
At what point was Dan Aykroyd part of the Brat Pack or a John Hughes film?
We have talked about the issues.
Playing the role of
of
Ned,
mistrust.
Steve Martin.
Also, Dan Aykroyd is such an asshole. Like,
That's why it would be interesting.
ugh.
In
To have
Katie's
him-
version, Harold Ramis is playing the role of Aunt May.
Oh man, I didn't even think about May. Who's that gonna
all right,
be?
you go.
can't even
Please go,
imagine
Brian.
who you would
Patrick
pick.
Swayze.
Please go, Brian.
Patrick Swayze's playing the dance instructor.
What's
Aunt
what's the
May.
one where he's cross-dressing?
Yeah, Priscilla.
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Yeah.
Tu Wong Fu. Thanks.
What's
to
Priscilla,
everything,
Queen of the
Julie.
Desert? Who's
Oh,
That
sorry.
is that
John
is a
Leguizamo?
cross. Yeah, yes, it might be. Well, no, Tu Wong Fu, which is when Patrick Swayze is cross-dressing
We should
with
do that
John
movie.
Leguizamo, filmed in Cornwall and Hudson, New York.
Ah.
I would like to see that movie again.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
I
Okay,
didn't
let's
see
watch
it
it.
when they filmed there.
It's a
all
great
right. So my
movie.
casting, it pains me to admit that one of my responses is the same as Katie, and it is not the Dan Aykroyd
It's
one. I
Matthew
can tell you.
Broderick, isn't it?
It's Matthew
Mhm.
Broderick as Peter,
Yeah, that's
mainly
pretty
because of
spot
his performance in War
It's a
Games
spot on choice.
led me to
now
believe
you're
in
going to realize that your other
Yep.
choice is pale in comparison to mine.
I hardly. For Flash, I picked James Spader.
Mm.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
a good choice.
For Ned, I picked one Mr. Curtis Armstrong,
Who's that?
aka Charles DeMar
Charles
from
DeMar.
Better Off Dead.
Also, Booger from
From
Revenge of the
Nerds. And for MJ, I picked Leah Thompson.
good choice.
She's nothing in comparison to Cameron.
Yeah.
Well, she's a woman,
That's
so you're right. She's nothing
Yep.
in comparison to him.
Yeah.
So that is Recast It. I would love
Let's
to see
just-
if your list could be more ridiculous than Katie's.
I don't even know if
Um,
we should do 5 questions.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. All right. This week's things to talk about over a beer at Oscars. This came up on a radio show that we listen to, Maddie in the Morning in Boston, which is one of the top radio shows in America. And then it popped up as an article on CNN. There's a new trend in dating, and it's called foodie calls. Have you ever heard of a foodie call
No.
before, either of you?
No.
So this is women's
Shut up.
going after what males used to call, obviously, the booty call, right? Which is you're just involving yourself with the female to, get some action. A foodie call is when a woman agrees to go out to dinner with a man with no interest in any involvement with them. They're just going to get a free dinner. And the University of California, one of their satellite schools, did a survey of over 2,000 women. And apparently a third, 33% of women over the age of 30 admitted to currently taking part in foodie calls. Going out with men just to get a free dinner who they had no social interest in.
So this plays into the folks having less sex thing, right?
Yes,
it used to
agreed.
Be like, there used to be this feeling of like, well, if they bought you dinner, then you got to put out. But now that's gone. It's just
I
like,
never
let them
was involved in one of those situations.
You're telling me you bought a lot of dinners and she did not put out?
Who is she?
Like unknown lady.
I just didn't equate that. I couldn't get very many dates in general, so
that used to be the notion, right? If he's paying for dinner, there's an expectation of shenanigans.
So this is the news. Have Katie,
yes.
Do me a favor.
Mm-hmm.
If when you're at the girlfriends, Katie's going to girlfriends weekend this weekend. Ask if any of them have heard of foodie calls.
Okay.
Or have though many of our friends are married, so they may have not ever been involved. But I'd like to hear an account of someone involved in a foodie call.
All right. Deal.
Got it. We want to know about foodie calls. Sign of the apocalypse grows ever nearer. I had to bring this up. Earlier this week, Aileen and I took the kids to the Boston Science Museum, which was fantastic. If you ever get a chance to go, it's a top-rate one. We saw this 4D experience. They have a theater where it surrounds you, and it was on volcanoes. Amazing. On the way back, for whatever reason, recently the traffic in Boston has eclipsed Route 76 or I-76 Philadelphia traffic. A trip that should have took us 45 minutes took 2.5 hours. On a weekday in the middle of the summer.
Right now.
Horrible. It was so bad that we had to stop at a Target that was just south of the city. A well-known Target, a very good area, everything. And both Aileen and I, I took Jack into the men's room and Aileen took Claire into the women's room to go to the bathroom, and we needed to get snacks because the trip was so horrific. I proceeded to go into the bathroom to see a man bathing himself with the sink.
Yeah.
Which, okay, that had a major urban area. People, are maybe having a tough time.
Mm-hmm.
Shirtless.
Mm-hmm.
Bathing himself out of a sink, which is an interesting discussion to have with your 4-year-old.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll bring this up with Aileen, only to leave the bathroom to be confronted immediately by Aileen informing me that she was in a bathroom with a woman urinating into a Gatorade bottle, giving it to another woman so she could pass her state mandated drug test.
Wow.
That's good. Yeah.
That was a good Target that you were at, Brad.
Yeah. That's what's rolling in the Target bathroom.
That's what I expect when I roll into like 30th Street Station bathroom. Like I try to avoid using the public transportation bathroom, like 69th Street. Lily one time was like, I got to go pee. I was like, you're going to pee outside.
You're going to pee on yourself.
You're going to wet yourself. We're going to get in the taxi cab and you're going to pee on the seat in the taxi because we are not going into the bathroom.
Yeah. Completely agreed. In a Target, didn't think I need to do that. Yeah. So if any of you have good Target bathroom stories, let us know. I mean, Erin Powers spends probably 25% of her life at a Target.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening at the Plymouth Meeting Target, but maybe.
You never know. You never
share
know.
your story.
All right.
5-question time.
Rolling on.
And
Here we go.
Katie, it's for you.
Katie is answering this week's questions, and I'm really socially concerned. Our episodes, Jim, the master of all things technology for us, has gotten us a piece of software that is allowing our episodes to go up on YouTube
Ooh.
Just keep that in mind
Oh,
in a
that's
faster
exciting.
volume. All right, here we go. 5 questions.
Mhm.
Thumbs up or thumbs down your high school dance experiences.
Oh, my high school dance.
Yeah, your high school dance experiences.
My high school dances were fine, besides the fact that the DJ was hooking up with the students.
It's just, I don't know if you see the format. It's thumbs up or thumbs down.
Oh, okay. So my high school dances, thumbs up. High school dances now, thumbs down.
Now, to be clear, because we always love to talk about high school Katie,
Yeah.
the DJ was DJ Plum Shady. Was he doing the high school dances? Who also DJ'd your wedding?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Jim's father represented for legal matters.
In 2 divorces.
And 2 divorces. And the teachers were probably the ones spiking the punches at the dance because they didn't mind drinking with the students at your high school.
I don't think that we were ever really drunk at the dances except for prom. I think that was it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we didn't have many dances though. I'll be honest. That wasn't. It's much more of a culture here, honestly. Like in the just outside of Philadelphia, they're like going to the socials, the mixers. Like that's much more of a thing than when I was growing up. But high school dances now, don't want anything to do with them.
All right. Agreed.
Okay.
Question 2: would you rather be locked in a room full of spiders or a room full of snakes? And I will add that.
Sorry.
Both are not poisonous.
Snakes.
So go snakes. Okay.
Snakes.
All right.
There are less of them. They can't move as quickly as spiders. And if they're not poisonous or so spiders, think about the way that spiders move.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to think about it right now. Like snakes, I have a possibility of jumping on top of them ish. But spiders, they are just all over your body.
But the spiders just crawl on you, whereas the snakes could bite you.
No, but they're not poisonous.
Yeah,
They could
it
still
still
bite,
hurt like
though.
a
Sure,
motherfucker.
yeah, totally. I'm in.
You're the anti-Indiana
I will
Jones.
take the snake bites.
Yeah.
All right. Fill in the blank question.
Mhm.
Happy Hogan, of course, played by Jon Favreau in this film. If you had to substitute an emotion as your first name, what would it be?
Surly DeSanto.
Surly DeSanta. Surly. You don't strike me as
Sounds like Shirley. Oh, it's not like who I am. It just feels like that's a good name.
Okay.
Surly.
Surly. All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Question 4. Favorite Michael Keaton film? And maybe we could all do
hard.
this. Could we all do this
This
one?
is very
Let's all do
hard.
our favorite
Well,
Michael
Katie's
Keaton
got to
film.
go first.
I'm going to go with Mr. Mom, but I feel like you're going to remind
That's
me
so
of a
good,
movie that I'm
yeah.
forgetting about that I'm going to
Well-
It's a great movie.
I love Mr. Mom, though.
Yeah, Mr. Mom is so good. So another from around that time that I loved, I probably haven't seen it in 30 years, is Gung Ho.
Yes.
I
The
never saw it.
softball when
Never
he's
saw it.
playing softball.
Yeah, with
against
George
them.
Wendt.
Yes. Such a good movie. This is not a good film, but it's kind of, do you remember he did a film called Dream Team?
Yes.
Where he was
I sure
in a
do.
Christopher
mentally,
Lloyd's in
It's a
that.
yeah,
great movie.
really funny,
So-
good movie.
It's basically One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but
They break out.
it's a comedy about
Yeah.
them going to a baseball game.
Yeah. He's
And they're all him.
What's
No?
that?
No,
the one
it's
where they're all
him.
him?
No, that's
Duplicity.
Multiplicity.
Multiplicity. Sorry,
Sorry.
Multiplicity.
Oh, and then there's My Life.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that
rough.
Christ.
Listen, let me
That
tell you
is a
something.
rough one.
A lot of people don't remember that movie. You will not watch that movie and not cry. I
Oh, God.
bawl.
Oh,
I used to show that in for psychology class.
yeah.
We would do it. Bradley Whitford's in it. Nicole Kid. That movie is legit. Like if you have never seen My Life with Michael Keaton and you just want to see a movie that is unbelievable, that didn't make a lot of money, and he is so good. Everybody in that movie is unbelievable. It's a little too heavy to probably watch for our podcast because you would watch it and you just but watch it if you've never seen it. Finally, deep thoughts question: if you could be a superhero for a week, which superhero would you be?
Oh, that's so hard. I don't know the superheroes very well, so I'm
All right,
just gonna
so what
frame
superhero do you
that.
know? So pick one.
I'm gonna
Just pick
frame
someone.
it with that. So you're gonna hate this answer so much.
Mhm.
I know. I would pick Superman because all I
Yeah.
really want to do is fly around.
And he is
lift
the only
heavy
superhero
shit.
who can fly.
That is true. He's the
all-
only
It's
superhero that can
all
fly.
I want to do. I just want to fly and I want to lift
We
stuff.
just watched a movie with a flying superhero in
He's
it.
not a flying superhero. He swings.
No,
He swings.
there was another superhero in the
Iron
movie
Man.
that flew.
Oh,
How about Iron Man?
Yeah, I don't want the metal suit. That feels very
What?
confining. No, I don't. I don't want that. I don't want to feel like I'm
God
locked
damn
in.
it!
Like if the technology doesn't work, then I'm like stuck in the metal. It feels like a cave.
If the Stark technology doesn't work,
Yes, Jim.
yeah, because that happens.
Yeah. Apple, even Apple and Google shut down sometimes. Yes.
Stark is a fictional company that is above Apple and Google.
Okay, so
in
are we
terms
going to
of what
put
they're
this to
capable of.
realistic standards or not? Because the technology will
To
always
be
fail.
fair, she
I don't
didn't know
wanna be
that
stuck
Iron
in the
Man
metal.
was in this movie.
That's true. Well,
No,
which brings
I
me
pay
to one of
attention
my
every time Robert Downey Jr. is on screen.
which brings
Don't-
me to one of
I
my
noticed it completely.
one of my recommendations. If we're ready to go to
Pepper pot.
recommendations.
Yes, go right into recommendations. Go ahead.
for
The
it.
first one is if you have Netflix, you can check out the Chef Show on
Yes.
Netflix, which
Which
is
you have brought up before and you like,
I
right?
like. It's Jon Favreau and Roy Choi,
Mm-hmm.
who got to know each other because Roy was training him for the movie Chef.
Mm-hmm.
And now that that movie was over, they wanted to keep cooking and they started filming it. And basically, it looks like each episode they'll have 2 celebrity guests and they cook different stuff and just kind of talk about it. So the first episode is them cooking a pepper pot, 4 pepper pots for Gwyneth. And she has no idea when he starts talking about them being in Spider-Man together that she was actually in the film Spider-Man. It's a very humorous
And not
moment.
only is she in the film, if you watch the credits, she's like the 5th billed person in the film.
Yeah, and it's very funny because she's like, "No, I was in Avengers with you," and he's like, "No, we were in Spider-Man." And she's like, "No, absolutely not." And then he says, "Yeah, remember with the suit and Tom's there, and you're gonna go into the press conference." And she's like, "Oh, that was Spider-Man."
In her defense, they were filming all these movies in the same studio at the same time and aren't told what to do.
Sure,
Not that I'm a huge Gwyneth Paltrow person, but I could kind of see that. What else do you have for us this week?
I got nothing else.
Nothing else. All right, Katie, recommendation? Anything you want to?
I just keep talking to people about Knobles. My God. And again, now that our kid needs orthodontia, we're just gonna
Go there again.
We're just going to go to Knobles.
You should come
instead
to
of Walt Disney World.
Storyland with the Costellos
Sure,
in
Dutch
New Hampshire,
Wonderland.
not Maine. But
No.
nonetheless,
Yep, we'll go to all of those.
Dutch
little
Wonderland
places.
is owned by the same company that runs Storyland.
Oh, how about that? We love some Dutch Wonderland.
Yeah, it's
Knobles
fantastic.
beats it all.
All right, perfect. I have a few recommendations. Aileen and I started watching Schitt's Creek, which was a recommendation from Jim and Katie, and we love
Oh, I'm so glad. That makes me so happy.
it. So good. Of course, I love it.
Ooh, David.
Ew.
Season 3 of The Handmaid's Tale is legit.
We
And I'm
gotta
not
jump
giving
back
a
in.
single spoiler or anything, but it's, again, I think it's my favorite season of the show so far.
Ooh.
It's been that good. I'm reading Past Tense by Lee Child, which I love. If you're watching us on the Facebook feed, Matt Betley, author of Rules of War, checked in and was watching the stream. And Katie had no idea who he was, even though we talk about his books and
week.
recommend them
I
every
only
week.
have listened to you ever.
His book is coming out July 16th. So by the time you're listening to this, the book will be coming out July 16th by the hardcover. And it's a great book set in Venezuela. And I will be seeing him on his tour when he's up here in
That's so
New
exciting.
England. We will be getting
Does he
together.
know that he's going to get kissed on the mouth?
He will not get kissed on the mouth.
Will you slip him the tongue and
no.
keep it dry?
Come on.
Empire
Oh, was that too
Magazine.
For the funniness, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
She's still
Are
thinking about
you
the men in
surprised that
towels
I don't know
sequence.
where the line is?
Also, as per
Empire.
usual, about once a month, I recommend Empire Magazine, who does an amazing job. They have the most recent issue was on Spider-Man: Far From Home, but tons of great movie stuff in there every month.
And I don't need that anymore.
when we next get together, we've picked a film that Katie likes so that she might actually watch it.
I'm going to have a hard time watching this.
What are we watching?
I am too, I think. But in honor of
Independence
America,
Day?
Of America, we are watching
it's about
for our
time.
4th of July special. We're watching Independence Day.
Yeah, we need to watch something that we don't all love. You know, we've had a few movies that we all really liked, and that's just it gets a little boring.
Well, you didn't really like Vertigo.
I didn't really like.
Yeah,
Vertigo.
I wasn't. None of us were like huge on
that's
Vertigo.
true. I was thinking about Jaws and Homecoming.
Yeah.
Back
So
to
we
back.
basically did 2 movies in a row.
And
people.
Prisoner of Azkaban.
Prisoner of Azkaban 3.
Would you like
What's
me
3?
to have us
That
watch
looks like
John
chicken
Wick?
wings.
John Wick 2? Is that
Really
what are you asking for? John Wick 2?
If I could
Is that
never
what
watch
you
it,
want?
John.
What are you doing? Are you doing like a?
Doesn't it look weird?
It looks weird.
Oh my god! The show is going on vacation for a short period of time.
Thank God.
Thankfully, I'm going to look
Like
for
some
sharks.
kind of Mick Jagger thing you were doing.
I
think
was doing
it
this
might-
before, and I thought my arms looked really weird this way. But they
I
look
think it might
worse.
be safer for me to hunt for sharks on Cape Cod than continue being a part of this podcast. Just also a reminder, watch Independence Day, enjoy your 4th of July, go see Spider-Man Far From Home, but start rewatching immediately if you're not currently, or if you've never seen it. Veronica Mars will be recording our Veronica Mars special.
And it's still on. It's still on.
It's still on Amazon Prime, but it is transitioning over to Hulu.
The first. July 1st?
I think July 1st. So you're probably listening to this and it's on Hulu now. But you could also, part of our special will be discussing the Veronica Mars movie. So if for some reason you cannot watch the whole season, watch the movie, which is available on HBO now.
Do you know
and
what
all
was
streaming.
making me laugh?
That noise.
It was this.
Oh, don't. Jesus Christ.
Now people are like driving in their car, listening to the podcast, and
Do you
it's...
know what it was?
Yeah. It's like the opposite of ASMR.
Oh my god. We are taking, again, I mentioned before, a vacation.
Yeah.
Some of you might think it was driven by this episode, but it was in fact pre-planned.
40 vanilla nut taps.
Oh. If you would like to hear more of what happens before or after the show, please join us live on our Facebook feed.
Yeah.
Also, feel free to like, subscribe, and review us on any of the sites, as that is what gets people to
share us
learn
around.
about us.
If you listen, let some people know.
Yeah.
Give us some feedback. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Unfortunately, if you don't like me, you're kind of screwed.
Nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
One of these days, I'll do a little video on how to subscribe to a podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna do that when Brian comes down
Yes,
here.
we're going to film
that's
that.
a great idea.
If you watch us on YouTube, subscribe there. Some people are watching us on YouTube. And I think that's it. If you like wine, make sure you're following One Hope Wine.
One Hope African.
I've thrown this idea out there before, but if you're somebody who'd like to buy One Hope Wine, you want to host a One Hope Wine party, we would do a Comm Majors One Hope Wine party. If you are a One Hope drinker and a Comm Major, we could have the party and review a film at your party as long as you buy a certain quantity of wine.
A little merger.
And make sure after you host the party and you have a massive hangover, you wake up and have some house cup coffee in the morning. Get rid of that.
House cup coffee.
It's a great plan.
Have some house cup coffee.
I need to get some K-cups for Eileen. Mm-hmm.
For when Brian comes down.
Yeah.
And that's it. Short break. I will try to
I'll shoot
Facebook Live if I find a shark. So if you follow us on Facebook,
Don't get bit by a baby shark.
I'm going to have some apricot brandy, some sharks, and we're going to see what happens. More than likely, I'll just do a video of my children and I singing Baby Shark because I hate sand and won't go to the beach.
That's perfect. I think that'll be more entertaining.
And probably more entertaining.
Granddad Shark.
Granddad Shark. Yeah.
Granddad Shark. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.